What's up, you guys? It's your girl Breda Pre, and today I'm going to do something that I'm going to start on my channel. I'm still trying to come up with a name. I'm thinking like story fine time, or story time fine, or story fine time with wine. I don't know, but essentially it's going to be while I'm doing my makeup and giving you guys like a story time, because so much has happened, as you guys know from the last story time, as you guys know from the last video I uploaded before this one. And I think that instead of me just sitting here and talking to you guys, which isn't that visually, you know, entertaining, that I will talk to you guys while I do my makeup. Now this story is going to be a short one because I have to take my dog to the groomers and I have to leave here in like 20 minutes. So I'm going to, what I'm going to do in this type of video is I'm not going to really say what I'm using. Everything, I'll try to like group everything together, and it could be like linked down below in case you guys are wondering, hey, what foundation, what primer, what is she using? We will do it that way. I feel like it'll just be like a little bit better that way. So I'm actually going to do my base first. So I wanted to tell you guys, and in this, if I'm using the right SD card, I will insert clips throughout this video, about a time not too long ago that I had to call the police and get somebody kicked out of my house. So what happened was, after I posted my story time about the last person that was living with me, who turned out to be the definition of a piece of trash, I was on a 2-week hiatus between jobs, right? So I got offered a new job, stopped showing up to my old one, and I had like 2 weeks in between starting my new job and ending my old job. Dang, my foundation has like spilled. I'll be right back. I gotta wrap my spine. Okay, I'm back. Also, sorry the background's not up. I just didn't have time today to put it up. I don't have it every day because it blocks the sunlight from my rabbits and they need to get the natural light. So we're just gonna have to deal with the background today. So anyways, so I had a 2-week hiatus and I was finally here by myself. Having that guy staying here living with me, he was a huge cock block. Nobody wanted to come over. They're like, I don't know this guy. Like, they all thought maybe it was a setup. Even people that I knew, like, you know, before. So he was finally gone, and I was like, let me take 1 week to just hang out, and then the last week I'll work on, like, I was trying to like organize my house, get my house in order, you know, just like things I didn't have time to do because I was working 50 hours a week, and I was going to be working 50 hours a week again very soon. So in the midst of that, I started going back on online dating apps and talking to people and seeing if anybody wanted to like hang out and like drink, because these are things I normally don't have time for, especially on the weekends, because I was always working on the weekend and I'm always working on the weekend now. So I met this guy, we're gonna call him Eli for all intents purposes, and he was like, yeah, I can bring a bottle of vodka over, like let's do vodka and lemonade. He's like, I'm probably gonna have to spend the night because I don't want to drive drunk, which was fine. It was like already like later in the day anyways. Oh, I got a track coming out, girl. We got all types of problems today. So I was like, okay, cool. So he comes over, he brings this half gallon of vodka and lemonade, and we start drinking. I think I have like 3 drinks, which, if you guys don't know, I'm like 25% Irish. I'm a heavyweight drinker. Like, I've drinking like a whole bottle of tequila before, and I mean, obviously I won't drive or anything, but I'm not like on the floor drunk. I can hold my alcohol fairly well, and this guy was holding his alcohol fairly well too. So we get to talking. He's telling me, that where he's living at right now, he's like sort of living in this like weird place that we have out here because his like mom had trespassed him at her house for some odd reason that he didn't get into details about, and that he had another place lined up in a week, and he was just waiting for his paycheck to come so he can like go to this other place and like move into this other place, because where he was at right now, he was living with a lot of people. It was kind of like some weird house that he made it seem like was for addicts, but he said he wasn't an addict. So he made it seem like he didn't belong there. So since I told him about how I had this guy staying with me on my couch, and obviously I like tell him what's been going on with me, we get to chatting and stuff. He goes, well, can I stay here for a week and I'll give you like, he said 500. I said, why don't you stay here for a week and just give me 250? Because at this point I was behind on my rent. As I told you guys, I let my bills sort of pile on top because everything had sort of been more, because when you have more people in the house, you know, get more bills and everything, and it was piling up. So I kind of needed the money. The guy seemed cool. I was like, fine. And I'm gonna let you guys know right now, you guys don't know me personally, but I'm somebody, in case you haven't realized now, who makes rash, spontaneous decisions and then has to deal with the consequences later. It's something that I've always had to deal with in my life, and it's something that I'm trying to get better at. But this was one of those spur of the moments, sure, why not, sort of. I'm more like I'm like a really go with the flow kind of person. I'm an air sign, so I'm like really just sort of like go with the flow and hope that everything works out. And I like helping people. I love to help people. Because if the roles were reversed, I would love to have somebody help me as well. So I'm like, fine. This guy has to work. I told him he has to leave by Friday because I think I had to start working on like a Saturday or something like that. So I'm like, you have to leave on a Friday. And then like also at the same time, I'm trying to organize my house because this is the last week I'm here like by myself. So he comes over on a Saturday. He gets fairly intoxicated. I'm okay, but some reason I end up puking the next day, which is weird. I rarely puke off alcohol, and I wasn't even drunk. I only had 3 vodka and lemonade drinks. So that was kind of weird to me, but whatever. So he says on Saturday, you know, I'm drinking a lot right now, but I probably won't drink a lot tomorrow because I have to work on Monday. And, you know, obviously who wants to go to work hungover? I don't like to drink or get drunk the day before I have to go to work, because we all know that you might, you know, get hungover. So I was like, you know, okay, cool. Makes sense. You know what I mean? So Sunday rolls around and he gets drunk again. And at this point, I probably only had 1 drink with him because he was like waking up, starting to drink. And mind you, he was like, I'll help you clean the house. Like, I told him I was getting my house organized. He's like, I'll take out the trash, this, that, and the third. I'm like, okay, cool. So, hang on, let me just set my under real quick. Sunday rolls around, he gets like shit-faced drunk, like intoxicated drunk, like doesn't even end up sleeping with me in my bed. Like he's asleep on the couch, whatever. He's like, I have to go to work on Monday. So mind you, the trash, I took the trash out the trash can, put it by the door, and asked him to take it out. And he said he would, because he's like always going to the gas station because he like smokes cigarettes and he's a drinker, you know, all of that. So he goes, he never takes the trash out. He literally walks past the trash to go to the gas station or whatever he's doing. And he's getting drunk again. So now Monday rolls around, right? That day is fine, whatever. We're hanging out, it's whatever. I'm thinking nothing of it. I'm thinking, you know, maybe he's having a good time. He wasn't allowed to drink at his old place he was staying at because addicts were there. So maybe that's what's going on here. So Monday rolls around, he calls off of work. I'm like, where are you at? I mean, I was like, why are you still here? You know, he like left, came back. He said he called off of work. So I'm like, okay, right then and there, it's a red flag, because my whole argument is like, why are you calling off of work? I don't like people like that. Like, I seldomly call off of work, and it's because I'm exhausted or I'm sick or real reasons, not no reason at all. So whatever, he calls off of work. That's his business. I tell him the next day, like, you have to go to work, because I had like something I needed to do or something, where he couldn't be around, or I don't know what I had to do. I forgot, but something happened where he couldn't be around, or I had to leave, and I didn't want him in the house by himself because I still didn't know the guy, even though he was like staying there. So he calls off of work, and guess what? He's getting drunk again. So he would wake up and literally get drunk, and whole time I'm like ordering food for us, thinking that I'm gonna get money, and like he said he was gonna get paid on Thursday. So like all of that's happening, and I'm shelving out more money. It seems like the same situation that was going on with the last person I had in my house. So he gets drunk. Then Tuesday, he goes to work, but he like drinks before he goes to work. He comes back home. So I'm noticing now that he's a drunk, that he really does have a problem with addiction, with drinking, because at this point he was at my house less than a week. From Saturday to Thursday, I think he was at my house, and he had bought 3 half gallons, so a gallon of half of vodka, and out of the whole entire thing I only had 4 drinks. I had 3 drinks that one day, and then the next day I only had 1 drink because I was kind of turned off from it because, you know, I had puked off of it, which is very rare for me. I have vodka in my freezer right now. Like, my friend just came over. If I'm not drinking shots, like I take shots of tequila, but if I'm doing mixed drinks, I'm always vodka and lemonade at my house. Like that's normally what I drink. So, but I just was not, I'm not just not somebody who like wakes up and drinks and like all of that. Like I'm trying to get my house organized, but he was getting so intoxicatingly drunk that like I'm cleaning a room and like he's messing up the room. Like he's falling over. He's not putting the seat back down, which at my house, in my toilet, I don't know if you guys have seen a recent, I'm doing a bathroom makeover, so you guys have probably seen that video, but I literally have a sign. So when you lift up the seat that men do, there's literally a sign that says put me down, and there's like a finger pointing downwards. I got it off of Wish. So it's like, I tell you to put the seat down, there's a sign to put the seat down, and you still don't put the seat down. You're like literally staring at it while you're peeing. I don't understand. So that part was super annoying. He would like leave my blinds wide open, like not like slivered like how we let the sun in, but like wide open, just like the whole window, so anybody walking past could see like what's going on. And you guys don't know this, and I'll probably tell you guys in another story time, but I had a stalker a year ago who like knew where I lived, who would ask me if I was home, and if I said no, he'd be like, oh really, because I can see you. And like I have people that I'm no longer on good terms with, like the guy that was living here before, they know where I live. So you can't just leave windows wide open. He left, and he was alone only for like 2 hours, and he left my door unlocked. So like these are things that like you just can't do. Like yes, I live in a good neighborhood and it's safe here, but given the circumstances of the things that I've been through and the people that I know where I live, like I just don't set myself up for the possibility to be vulnerable in my own home. And so it kind of rubbed me the wrong way. So now I'm noticing, right, like these small little things, that this kid is an alcoholic. Like he's a liar. He's an alcoholic. He would get drunk. He would talk about his ex-wife all the time, which I don't know if that turns you on, but if you're like hanging out with somebody like in a romantic sense, because we only hooked up once, because that's when I realized he was a drunk and like I got turned off. But like I don't want to hear about your ex-wife or your ex-girlfriend or any ex. Like that's something you just, maybe one time we're venting, we're, you know, telling you about our lives, but every day you're getting drunk and talking about her, like maybe you're not over her. Maybe we need to like figure that piece out. You know what I mean? So this is like Tuesday, Wednesday. He's really annoying. I'm like complaining, whatever. So the last straw for me was, I think it was Thursday. So he calls off work again. So out of the 4 days, this man went to work 2 times, okay? So, and he's like, can I just tell you this, that like, I understand drunk people, okay? Being drunk is not a problem. Being drunk every day is a problem. And when you're the type of drunk person that asks the same question over and over again after I've already like answered you, after we've already like had a conversation, like at that point, I just like completely like shut off, and I'm not going to respond to you because like I have already given you the answer several times. And if you can't retain information, like that's on you. You know what I mean? I'm not a kindergartner teacher. I'm not your mom. Like, I'm not going to keep saying the same thing to you like over and over. So Thursday morning rolls around. He wants me to drive him to the gas station. And I said no. Now, mind you, this is still my car. I still had no car. He had 2 cars, but one car like didn't work. And then the other car, I drove it once because he had to get his old car from that place he was staying so he can like move it to the place he was going to be at. So the other car was like, just like not safe. Like it was just weird. And like, call me bougie, call me whatever you want, but like all of my cars are newer cars with like rear view cameras and like, you know, actually working and functioning. And I don't feel comfortable, especially since my license was expired. I just don't feel comfortable driving a car that has a lot of problems, that looks low budget, because those are the kind of cars that police pull over. So I told him, no, I'm not driving him to the gas station. Like, if he needs to get cigarettes, that's on him. I'm not a cigarette smoker. It's not my problem. And at this point, you know, he had already like irritated me to beyond belief. So he goes. He's gone at the gas station, okay? So I get a knock on the door. Like, let's just say like 45 minutes later. And there's some random guy at my door. Now, mind you, the guy that's staying here is white, all right? I think it kind of plays a role depending on your opinion. In my opinion, it plays a role. So this other guy is here and he's white also. And he's knocking on my door and he's like, hey, do you know this guy? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, he almost got arrested for drunk driving at the gas station. I drove him here. I'm gonna go pick up his car and drive his car back here because he left it at the gas station. So at this point, I'm just like annoyed, because if you're that intoxicated, like, you should not be driving. You should not be getting caught driving. Like, at this point, it's just like everything's piling up and he's super annoying. And this guy's drunk. This is like 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock in the afternoon. Like, it's not even like midday. And it's like on a Thursday. Like, what are you doing with your life? Do you know what I mean? So he's drunk. The guy comes back like 20 minutes later or whatever. The gas station wasn't that far. And he goes, oh, they repoed his car. Like, I can't drive his car back here because they took it, because he left it at the gas station, like at the pump with the gas pump in his car. Like, he just left it there, so the police like took his car. So this is the last straw for me, okay? And I'll tell you guys in a different story time, but just for this, his cousin lives in the same building as me. Like, not the same exact building, but like in this space of like the campus of the apartment complex that I live in. And I met his cousin because he didn't listen to me. I told him I didn't want his cousin to come over. He brought his cousin over anyways. So I met his cousin. So I had his cousin's like information. So I told the guy he has to leave. I'm like, I can't wait until like tomorrow. Like, you have to go now, because at this point you're just like a nuisance to me. Like, you have to get your shit together. Like, this is not what I signed up for. Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously you're drunk. Obviously you're an alcoholic. And he's like, yeah, give me 15 minutes and I'll find a place. So meanwhile, I'm like calling his cousin, telling his cousin like, hey, like, his cousin never answered, but I'm calling his cousin, leaving voicemails and texting him like, hey, like, your brother has to like leave here. Like, this is not what I signed up for. I didn't know that he was like this, you know, just giving him like the whole shebang. So I go back out there after calling his cousin. I was calling his cousin in this room. So I go back out to my living room. And the guy's like passed out on the couch, and I'm like trying to wake him up. And I'm like, hey, you have to leave. Like, I no longer want you here. You know what I mean? Like, this is just not what I signed up for. You know what I mean? And he's like not trying to leave. So I called the police on him. I called the police and I was like, this guy is intoxicated and he's an alcoholic and I wasn't aware, and like, I don't want him arrested. I don't want him to go to jail, because we had an agreement that he could stay there, but I didn't know that it was under these pretenses. So like, I don't want him to go to jail, but I need him to get escorted like out of my house. So they're like, the police come. It's like 3 white guys that come. And they're like talking to him and he's being disrespectful, but apparently I guess you can do that if you're a white man, because they won't shoot you if you're white. He's like being very disrespectful to them. And they're like trying to call his cousin, they got a hold of his mom. His mom didn't even want him. This man that has burned through everyone who ever has loved and cared about him because of his disease, because of him being an alcoholic. And this is sort of like where I'm getting like my epiphany of like this guy. Do you know what I mean? And I'm just like, wow, this guy has actually belonged in that place, and he's literally a piece of trash. He has a child that his mom had custody of, and like, you hear the child like screaming in the background, and I'm just like, look at all this trauma you're putting this child through. Look at all the trauma you're putting your family through. Like, nobody wanted to help him. His mom's like, take him to the hospital. So they call an ambulance. The EMTs come up to my house. They do a breathalyzer. His breathalyzer was like 5 times over the legal limit. I don't understand. This guy like wakes up and is just like a completely functioning alcoholic. It's crazy. I've never seen this a day in my life, and like so up close and personal. Like, I know alcoholics exist, but I didn't know it was like that. So they, you know, eventually get him out of my house, which I'm telling you right now, the whole process was like an hour long. And they weren't even focused on him. Like, the first thing the guy comes in, I had like, you guys know I'm a smoker. I had like a bowl or something out and like a cart, which by the way was all Delta 8, which is legal in the state of Indiana that I'm in. And they were like, you know, what's this stuff? Like, don't worry about that. Like, worry about the drunken man that won't leave my house. Like, how about that? But I told him, I'm like, hey, this is all legal. I got it at my local smoke shop. It's Delta 8, it's Delta 10. Like, if you want a receipt, like, you can have a receipt. But, like, that's not why you're here. That's not why you were called here. Like, focus on the task at hand, Jim. You know what I mean? So, they get him out of my house. They escort him to the ambulance. And finally, he's gone. And I'm thinking, you know, that's the end of that. I text his cousin. I tell him he left in the ambulance just in case anybody in his family, like, wanted to know where he was at and he, like, couldn't get a hold of them or anything, you know, because I still, it's not like I hated the guy. He just had problems and it just wasn't functioning well in my house, and I just couldn't take it, like, another day. Like, I just couldn't. I was babysitting. I was saying the same thing. Like, I'm not anybody's mom. I don't have children on purpose. And, like, so with that, it's kind of like, was just weird and uncomfortable for me. So the next day, he like tries to text me. He's like, you got me arrested and blah blah blah. I'm like, no, like, I made it abundantly clear to these people that, like, I didn't want to press charges. I wanted you out of my house. He's like, they arrested me for public intoxicity, which by the way is false, because he's like, because I was in your hallway, which by the way is false, because my hallway is part of my apartment complex, and this is private property. So you would only be arrested for a public intoxicity if you were, you know, somewhere in public. So I'm thinking, I was like, well, they probably arrested you because you were supposed to get arrested at the gas station for being drunk. And I told them that you were at the gas station in case they had, like, these were the same guys because we're in the same town. Like, I already told them this. So he's like trying to blame me, whatever. I block him. Then, like, he's like, can you at least drive my car, or whatever he said, because he left, the other car he had was here that, like, doesn't run or whatever the case is. I'm like, bro, I'm not helping you anymore. Like, I feel like I've made it abundantly clear that, like, you have nuisanced me enough. Like, you have inconvenienced me enough, and it's time for you to just, like, leave me alone. So I had him on, like, all of my platforms. So I block his phone number. And then I forget that he's on Snapchat, and he, like, messages me asking me about Delta 8. Now, the whole time this man is telling me he can't smoke. He's not a smoker. He has to take a drug test for his job or whatever. Apparently that all went out the window because he smoked with me. And then he was like, oh, I got like a chunk of the eyeshadow right there. But he was drunk with me, and then he's asking me about this stuff. I mean, he was smoking with me, and then he was asking me about this stuff. And I'm like, dude, look, I'm not helping you. Like, I don't understand what you can't comprehend of the fact that, like, I am no longer interested in you. Like, he messaged me on the dating app that I met him on and was like, can we hang out, like, once I get the alcohol under control? And I was like, bro, you'll never get the alcohol under control. While he was drunk, he was always being like, when I told him, like, oh my God, you're drinking, it's like, you know, 9 o'clock in the morning. He'd be like, you think you're going to get me to quit this stuff? Good luck. And I never am one to change anybody's lifestyle. I don't care what you do. If you want to shoot up heroin for the rest of your life, like, live your best life. But you're just not going to do it here in my home. That was, like, my whole argument. Like, we're just not going to do that here. And, like, he was just still trying to contact me and be very annoying, which I did not appreciate. But moral of the story is I had to call the police on an alcoholic that was staying in my house for a week. And it was a weird experience because I don't like to call the police. I don't like to involve the police, you know. I don't like any kind of negative energy like that, but I had no choice in the matter because this guy just like would not leave my home and would not leave me alone. And like, it was just all bad. Hang on, let me put my mascara on. Ooh, she got it on her eyeshadow. I'm like so late right now. All right, I'm let the mascara dry and I'll fix those little marks. But we have to go. I was supposed to leave her like 10 minutes ago because I don't know what's gonna happen if I'm like super late or anything. I'm taking my dog to the groomers and we have to be on point. Ugh. All right, so I don't know where I put my brush at. I have to go because I do not want to miss his grooming appointment. I had to wait for so long because his rabies were expired and the vet wasn't open. I finally got his rabies together, so I'm leaving. But that was the story of how I had to call the police on a alcoholic man that was staying in my house. If I have the clips, I'll show them of him being escorted out of my house from my window, and like some of the recording voices that I got about the conversations that you guys can tell would spark another debate in itself of how different races are treated by policemen. Hear the audio.
What do you mean by that?
I fucking say it right
here.
Go back up.
If we give you some
Back the fuck up. You back the fuck up. That pissed me off.
Don't relax.
No, I got another key. Yeah.
On the table?
Yeah.
But yeah, if you like this and you want to listen to more story fine times, subscribe because I have at least 2 more I can think of to share with you guys, and we will keep this little movement going because I'm a chatty Cathy and a gossip queen. I'm a chatty Cathy and a gossip queen, and you guys need to be up to date on all the tea, okay? I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye. There he goes.